Hey guys, welcome to the Passion Behind series. This is a series of videos I plan to create that explains the process, ideas, and techniques that I use to go into creating my songs. And in no way am I a professional. Uh, I just do this for fun mainly, and if anybody wants to throw in ideas or recommendations after watching this video, that'd be cool. So the first song I wanted to make for the series was Blind, because I actually really loved creating the song. So why did I want to create Blind? So anybody who knows me knows that my favorite artist is Nothing Nowhere, who's a variety artist, mainly known for emo rap, probably. But he created a new metal album called Void Eternal, and since I look up to him, I went into his inspirations for the music that he makes, and that led me into Deftones. And then I listened to Deftones like crazy, listened to all their albums. I love White Pony like everybody else does, but the one that really got me was Around the Fur, and I wanted to create a song based off of a lot of inspiration from that album. Originally, this song wasn't called Blind, it was actually called This Is the End. And it actually had a completely different opening. Obviously, this is a rough idea, but I decided to throw this in here and give you guys a little insight on how I first started the song. So originally, this actually had a completely different opening, with more of a slow Deftones vibe, where I was gonna sing more slow and focus more on the vibe of it, I guess, instead of really going hard rock. So just hear a little bit of inspiration from it. Yeah, so it was definitely a much slower opening, and I was gonna sing very slow. But I decided I didn't really want to go for the long songs I usually go for, and I want to actually start condensing my songs into the more closer 3 to 4 minute mark, like most artists. But yeah, totally different opening, but it led to pretty much close to the same chorus idea. So in no way I'm an actual guitarist, but I thought that sounded pretty cool. And then I was working with flamers, that more hollow moving sound. And that was the original riff for the main verses. Very badly played, but originally, this song actually had a bass part right here, where it was going to be a little bit more, I don't know, I guess moody. But let me see if I can find that. Okay. So originally, I was actually include a bass part like this. Something more moody, and I was gonna probably be rapping over, and slowly I would use the effect plugin Nani to distort it. Yeah, that was actually the original concept of Blind, which was This Is the End, and I decided to go back on the board because I didn't want to make a long song, and I wanted it to be a little bit heavier, mainly focusing on that riff. Yeah, and now that was the original concept. Let's move on to the actual project that ended up becoming Blind. 1 second. All right. So this is Blind. This is the full project. I have a bunch of recordings of vocal takes that I did. It's pretty much a mess, not really made to look pretty for y'all's eyes. Yeah, it's a bunch of takes I did to do all the vocals. All right, so first thing you'll notice is I actually have official songs that were inspired for this song, and I used them as building blocks to build a framework of the energy I wanted in each part, the verse to the chorus, the breakdown, and you'll see from top to bottom what was the biggest inspiration, the least that went into the songs. So from the top, you can see I have Deftones, Lotion being the main framework, with Head Up mainly being there for the choruses, and a little bit of Linkin Park, Point of Authority, and Faint inspiration with Nothing Nowhere, Suicide Pack, and Unity TX's Rotting Away for Gore. And I even have a little bit of a Jork inspiration, which was mainly for the opening, for the crunchy drums. For example. Alright, so for that opening, for all my drums, I actually inputted it into the input system right here, and I used Maximus to distort it and give it more like a blast beat drum feel. So, let's see here. As you can see, it's just regular drums, but I use Maximus to really give it that distortion. Yeah, and these episodes
You're so selfish, having to put yourself in anybody else's shoes to understand their views. See, the real tragedy is the cruelty of learning apathy on humanity. How can we be so selfish?
So I rapped slowly over that guitar riff with drums right here.
Put yourself in.
And so what's actually interesting? What's actually interesting about what I think is cool, that's different from other new metal songs and in general song work, is that the verses right here are actually in 3/4 instead of 4/4, which would have been a lot easier for me, but I decided to do 3/4 and rap it in that to do something a little bit different. So what does that mean? 3/4 instead of the usual 4/4, where you would go 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. I instead did 3/4, which will do a 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Let me see here. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So that means when I rap, it has to be, there's a bit different emphasis than a 1 2 3 4, and I actually have to quicken my rap a little bit just so it matches with the timer. So if you listen to it with the beep, my vocals here.
How can we be so selfish? Have to put yourself in anybody else's shoes to understand their views.
So yeah, I'm rapping at the end of each line, and emphasis on the beep, shoes, views. I would be so selfish.
Be so selfish, have you put yourself in?
Yeah. So, yeah. This is the vocal effect chain. I made my voice a little higher. I use Ovox stereo to de-ess it so that the sounds aren't as harsh. And a Maximus, and then I ended up using a little bit of auto tune, 25%, just to keep it, I don't know, like stable, I guess would be the word. I use Nani distortion to make it sound much harsher. So this is what it sounds without it. Let me focus.
In anybody else's shoes to understand their views. See, the real tragedy is the cruelty of learning apathy by humanity. The real tragedy is the cruelty of learning apathy by humanity. The real tragedy is the cruelty
And then
of
what?
learning apathy by humanity. Is the cruelty of learning apathy by humanity.
Yeah, so it makes it sound a little bit more aggressive, and I use a lot of EQ to go from the mid and high and try to get rid of that low end so it doesn't muddy the song too much. And then got a little Valhalla vintage. One thing you'll notice with a lot of these tracks with the input is that I have it going which is all the drums going to every track that I wanted to, where the drums will slowly they will lower the volume of everything else so the drums can kick through harder. So
Put yourself in anybody else's shoes to understand their views. See, the real tragedy is the cruelty of learning
every time
apathy
the drum
by
hits, it
humanity.
cuts the volume of my vocals a little bit lower, just so those drums can peek through a little bit. Because me personally, I like the drums to hit harder than the rest of the instruments, because that's where the bounce is for me. Also, by the way, the guitars are in drop C tuning. I did that based off inspirations from Deftones.
Put yourself in anybody else's shoes.
Yeah. With the guitars, I use STL Tone Hub. Actually using Joey from The Used, one of my favorite bands. Create that the guitar. And I use a bit of Uber. Oh yeah, I'll show you what it sounds like without the effects. So that's what it is, more dry. It's that guitar riff from This Is the End, which is the only thing that really carried over to the song. EQ'd it, make it a little higher. A little Uber mod, give that spacey effect, and then vintage to get more echoing. And for the chorus part, I actually have two different guitars playing. typical widening effect to for guitars to make them more heavier. Then we got the bass, which so yeah, I actually used the 1K aggressive rock for the drums. If anybody wants to know plugins. And then for the bass, I used the Evolution flat wood bass. And just following the pattern. All right, so actually, an interesting thing about the rapping part that I wanted to talk about.
Learning apathy by humanity.
So for the for both the verses leading up to the chorus, I actually changed up the rap because I didn't want to do the same thing over and over again. So going off only the rap part.
How can we be so selfish? Have to put yourself in anybody else's shoes to understand their views. See, the real tragedy is the cruelty of learning apathy by humanity.
So it goes on the beep and it's just very forward. But for the second verse, I actually change it up to more of a swing, like a pendulum. Here, for example.
See, I am crying my knees because I'm not free of running agony by blood.
Yeah, so it's more of a swing compared to the first rap verse.
The real tragedy is the cruelty of learning apathy by humanity. I am crying my knees because I'm not free of running agony by blood.
So yeah, I wanted to change the second half of each rap verse compared to the first to be different, just to make it cooler. I don't want to do the same thing over and over again, be doing the typical rap shit. Anyways, so and then the first chorus.
We are suffering of
So
we are so blind to the suffering of you.
for the choruses, I just have a very straightforward vocal, and then a more echoey vocal for the background to fill it out more. This is what it sounds like alone.
Why is it that we are so cruel? We are so blind to the suffering of you.
I wanted that Deftones Chino chorusy effect where the vocals sound very wet, slippery, and like wavy. Obviously, by itself like that sounds a little weird, but when you combine it with the reverbs, with I only emphasize on certain words to let them reverb out, and it's not just too much reverb and delay on the actual vocals. So it's only emphasizing the words I want.
We are so blind to the suffering of you. We
Yeah, you can tell it sounds really weird and flat without the vocal.
are so blind.
Like a like the just a really weird scream, but adding it on with this effect, it really combines to make it sound more whole and cohesive.
We are so blind to the suffering of you.
Yeah, that's how I made the chorus. Now we go into the lead up.
May look at, may look at, may look
Yeah, so for the vocal effect right there, I sound very far away. I use a lot of separate stereo to make me sound really wide. And then I use effects like distortion right here. Oh, destructor. Yeah, so I use destructor to distort it and make it that radio growl. Starts off not strong at all, and then grows right here. So yeah, I use FL Studio's Destructor for that. All right, so now we're getting to my favorite part where I go full scream. I have a higher scream and a deep scream. I been working on my scream for a while now. Finally unlocking that lower scream instead of just the higher scream. Listen to a lot of Asking Alexandria and screaming to that to get to that point. So let's see. Yeah, so I actually put a auto tune on my screams. Not really for this part, but later on the second chorus, it adds a pretty cool wiggling scream effect on my scream. Not that I need to put auto tune on my screams. I think it just adds a cool effect on it. And then typical Nani distortion. Same stuff.
Why aren't you looking at me? Just turn your head around.
So, interesting fact about my screams in this song. Not really for the rap parts, because I was fine, but a lot of the screams, I was actually sick. I was actually struggling to scream, but I think it actually adds on to make it sound more gnarly. So, for example, you can hear that I'm sick, and the scream kind of just fades out because I'm too weak to scream.
Just turn your head around.
Like I lose control of my voice right there, but I think it sounds cool. And then for the deep screams, the deeper tone. It doesn't sound like good by itself, but when you add on top of the other scream, it sounds really cool. And again, I use with using Nani again, distortion to make it a little more gnarly. And yeah, I do the same thing with just using 2 guitars for that part. See. Left and right channels. Alright. Now, right after that, it goes into this Alright, so this is where the Linkin Park inspiration comes in, where I try to make it into like a DJ area, DJ type song. I was actually struggling with the DJ part for a while because I wanted the scratches to sound actually neat and not just typical gross beat stuff. Yeah, so because I have a lot of gross beat scratches that I use to make for the song. Yeah, so you can hear the scratches right here. Which does sound cool, but I didn't want to use just the that same pattern over and over for even the DJ part. And what I actually did was I recorded the guitars. I took the guitars from this song and actually exported it out and then put it back in FL Studio, and I turned it into a sample, basically. I just took a guitar and turned it into a sample, doing it the proper way, and that's the sample right here. So I took the guitars, exported it out with scratches, and then put it back in and did some more effects using EQ and different scratches and distortion to make it sound even different. And that vocal is a sample too from someone else. Yeah, that vocal is just a sample. But the guitars I played and made into a sample. Yeah, so I took out the guitars that I made, sampled them out, and then put them back in and scratched them even more to make that a sound effect. And it leads to my scream, which again, I was sick, So I was struggling to make it sound proper, but I think it sounds cooler with the gnarly, sicky sounds. Yeah, so um, yeah, I was sick. You can hear it. It's like all gargly and gnarly, but by adding in not knee again, more distortion, and adding a chorus effect on the scream, made it sound really cool, in my opinion. Yeah, it starts off as a mono song, which means that um, it sounds, I guess, more up close and not far away. But then I transition it into a little bit further away, so it widens it to make it sound like it's getting louder. If you're wearing headphones, you can hear it. It just gets really wide right there. Uh, Sounds like it's coming at you in a way. And then typical, I did guitars just break down. Yeah, so that was the breakdown. Um, and then it goes into the main chorus again. Okay, so for the final chorus, I have it all going through a Maximus channel, which makes the ending part way louder than the rest of the song. And I actually have three vocal effects, or three vocals going through at the end, making it sound much louder. And this is the example I was giving about using auto tune to to give the vocals a weird effect.
Why is it that we are?
Yeah.
Why is it that we are? Why is it that we are so?
You could tell with the auto tune, it's shaking and then trying to format it into a cleaner vocal, but the scream is just kind of out of control. So the auto tune kind of gives it a cool wave effect, I guess. Explain it. Um,
I am so blind to the summer of you. May look at, may look at, may.
so for the ending, I have a constant scream going over the last part of the song, which is why it's my favorite part of the song because it uh, kind of does like a little bit of the used kind of thing where you just hear screaming in the background. And
Look at, may look at, may look at.
my computer's struggling to play this while recording. But yeah, you can hear me just screaming in the background the whole time, and I really love that effect.
May look at, may look
And yeah, um, I really liked it because it just sounds like Burt McCracken from the Used, where he's always screaming at the end of screaming in his songs. Obviously, mainly from the first two albums, but yeah, uh, that's my process for Blind. A lot of inspirations from new metal, and well, yeah, that's my process for Blind. Um, Any questions, you can post down below. And uh, yeah, hope you liked the video. See you guys next time.